Yo, it's the words Fulltime Father Podcast. We here, man, with another episode. Um, we have a big dog on here. You know what I'm saying? This is a podcast mainly about fathers. We do, all types of content as far as parenting, but we mainly focus on fathers. So we got a big dog. I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself. Go ahead, brother.
All right, so I'm 50/50 dad. I started out on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I want to say I started with YouTube first. And, on Instagram, I amassed a massive following now, over 100K. I continue to post father stories. I feel like, a lot of people don't listen to dads when they share their stories. They think that we're complaining. And a lot of times they just don't know that we're actually, trying to share our experience with the family court and just, fatherhood. So it's good to have platforms that allow us to push our content, like, struggles we deal with as fathers, or just, to show our experience as dads.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about, man. Like you said, just having a platform for our voice, and that's the main reason I started this podcast. For people that don't know that's tuning in, I am a single father of my two baby girls. I ran into a situation some years back to where I was homeless and I needed to go to a shelter, and I couldn't get in because I was a dude. I mean, a guy with kids, and not a woman with kids. So that sparked me to start building resources and try to build some type of platform for fathers. Period. So, and that's how it landed me here today. So, gonna get right into it though, man. So, like you said, you've built the community. I see that it looks like it stands for balance, fairness, and presence. How do you keep your heart open when the systems or situations feel one sided?
Well, it took time. I think if my content actually took off when I was going through, I wouldn't even. It feels like abuse, when you're going through the custody case and you feel like it's not going your way, or you have to wait to get in front of a judge to actually get the time that you're seeking. It is technically abuse if somebody's like deliberately keeping your child from you or limiting the time that you get with your child. So, again, I'm fortunate enough to have my content take off like way after that experience, because it was a really dark time for me. My family had to be there for me. There was a time my cousin had to come stay with me for 1 to 2 weeks just to make sure I was okay, because I live by myself. So,
Right.
yeah. With time, I was able to heal, and then now it's more of like, hey, men should try to do 50/50, because initially, when it comes to kids, and especially after the split, they try to like discourage you from taking time. But then at the same time, if you get just weekends, then they shame you for just having weekends, and they're saying that you're not doing enough. So I always try to encourage dads to, get the equal amount of time, and not really, like in your situation, I'm sure you'll share your situation while you're a full-time dad, but I've met fathers that had to be the full-time dads too, and it's good to see more of them, because people think that full-time dads don't exist. And that's why I was like, man, whenever I see one, I always, want to hear their story and kind of promote them, because you don't really see a lot of it. But I definitely, on my platform, I try to push 50/50 and encourage equal share parenting. I think that's the best form of child support. I get it. A lot of people, they get upset when they hear that, because in some situations the incomes are lopsided, and that's kind of why the court system is the way it is right now, where you can get 50 percent of the time and still pay support, because they're looking at one income or they're looking at two incomes, and they're seeing a huge difference. But for the most part, I feel like, if you can't stay together, equal time is the best way to go.
No, absolutely. I definitely agree. With me being raised by a single mom and then my father having a wife and raising five kids, younger than me, it's a completely big difference, man. I tell you, two parents matters. Like, um, me myself, I don't want to be a single father. It's just what the cards that is dealt is what I have to deal with. You know what I mean? But if I could have it, I mean, I would love for their mom to be knocking on my door like, "Yo, no, girl, tell the girls come outside." I would love, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the way to go for sure. But what's something fatherhood has taught you that you've never expected? Something that surprised you in a beautiful way.
Well, one of the most underrated things I learned from fatherhood is patience, because when I was living with my dad, and he told me, now that I'm older, that his way of doing things back then wasn't the right way. I didn't really see much patience from my dad. I saw it with my mom when I eventually started living with my mom. But patience, man. I didn't realize how much patience I had to have, and just how much grace I got to give my child until you start going through the different phases, right? Especially toddler, and then now she's 7, about to be 8. Man, it's a lot of patience and a lot of grace. Like a lot of times, early in parenthood, I'd be kind of like upset over like little things, and then I sat down and thought about it and say, you know what, she's still learning, and
Mm.
that patient helps because in my job, I have to be a patient person in my job, so it helps with everything else. So that was something I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting to become like a more patient person.
Oh man, and that's extremely real. If I was asked that question, that would be my exact answer as well. I had to learn because being raised by a parent who channels their inner Bernie Mac at any time. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
Yeah.
then because as kids, we take from our parents from what we thought they did good or what they thought we thought they did bad. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I had to learn that myself, man. That's real. Were you and your kid's mother, was y'all married?
No, we were not. And it's funny, we both say that it's probably the best thing, right? Initially, here's what happened. And I tell young people this all the time because I have cousins that are in their 20s. I'm not against marriage. Like people see my content, they'll think that I'm saying I'm against marriage. A lot of times I tell people, like, obviously, if you are in a successful career, you have money, you should definitely look into a prenup. I don't discriminate. If you're a woman with money, I think you should get a prenup. If you're a man with money, I think you should get a prenup. I always tell them, don't look at the prenup like it's a bad thing, right? Because it's like, look at it like car insurance. You don't get car insurance and then say, oh, well, I'm getting the car insurance because I can't drive. You're getting it in case you have to use it, but you don't want to use it, right? So that's the way I try to, get people to look at it. But yeah.
I heard that. I heard that, man. That's
But
what's
yeah,
up. Uh,
the marriage thing though, I like I said, I'm not against it. I encourage men to at least try that before having kids. But at the same time, I also speak to a lot of men who went through divorce. So there's something that you have to realize, like, okay, there is a chance that, 50% chance you can get married and get divorced. A lot of times, when I'm on TikTok, which I feel like TikTok is more for women, and I could be wrong, right? It could just be my FYP because your algorithm, what you view, it gets built by what you view. So maybe it's just what I'm viewing. I do hear them complain a lot about their husbands. So I always look at, my friends that are married and stuff like, hey, make sure you're helping out because sometimes it's not the man, but sometimes it is us. We're not doing enough, and they get upset with us and they say, they talk to us too many times and we don't listen, and they file for divorce. Remember, they file for divorce 70 to 8% of the time. So but yeah, we weren't married. She told my daughter that she was happy that she wasn't married to me. But I think that's just her realizing after the fact, because when I broke up with her initially, she was just kind of looking at me like, why? But I just kind of saw where the relationship was trending. Too much fighting. And I was like, my daughter's young. She doesn't need to see all that fighting. Some of the fighting gets real disrespectful too. So as a man, you try to walk away from it because, a woman will get in your face. They might even get physical with you, but you can't do nothing. You cannot touch them.
absolutely.
You have to walk out of that situation, and you got to really think about the situation your kids are seeing. At 2, she was too young to understand what was going on. Now she's 7. She's kind of like, oh, why don't y'all get back together? I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's going to work.
Right. I heard that, man. But hey, this is I'm glad the situation, you know what I'm saying, was able to be separated before something else. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
a lot of other situations go bad like that. You know what I mean? So shouts out to you and your kid's mom for that one for sure. Um, you said that your content blew up after the fact that you were going through the custody case. Me personally, I'm still in that stage. I'm I'm waiting on that to happen. So for inspiring content creator like myself, how did that make you feel? Like what was your aha moment? Was like, oh man, like people really checking for me.
Whew. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I watched myself grow from like 1,000 to 100,000 on Instagram, and I didn't think that was the platform I was gonna grow on. I thought it was YouTube. I was on YouTube. I was sharing videos, like resharing them. Didn't really know, because I'm gonna be honest with you. Content creation, right? You can get paid to do content creation. I don't really get paid because a lot of the stuff I reshare, you have to repurpose it to where they want to pay you. So on YouTube, I was, blowing up there first, man. I had my little 15,000 follow. No, it was like maybe like 12,000. I'm like, oh, I got 12,000 people following me, and I was doing a little shorts and stuff, and a bunch of, comments. And I said, oh man, people really care about like fatherhood, right? Or they care about the videos that I'm sharing. Same with TikTok. Another dad saw me there. He's at 100K on TikTok. He reshared me
Nice.
because my story because he has the same situation. He's an unmarried father, and when you're an unmarried father, the rules are a little bit different for you. You have to go to court and let them know that you're trying to be a dad. In a lot of states, they're trying to change that, but at the same time, you're still going to have to go to court if mom is being difficult anyway. So, but yeah,
For
you don't
sure.
just automatically have the same rights. Like when you're married, it's assumed that you guys, it's not assumed you have the same rights as mom, but you could still experience some of the stuff I experienced depending on, the mother that you're dealing with. Like I tell people, your fight's going to be different based on who you have. But yeah, but realizing like, with Instagram blowing up to like 100K and stuff, and realizing that I still got a lot of room to grow, man. Yeah, sometimes you know what it is, man. Like especially for somebody like you who may just be starting, you have to continue to post and don't stop posting. Even in my other like social media platforms and stuff, I keep trying to tell myself like keep posting
Uh,
because that's
yeah.
all it takes. When you stop is when you stop growing.
You right
Keep
about
going.
that. 'Cause yeah, I've seen my page get stagnant a few times. I go about 4 or 5 days without doing nothing, and yeah, it's just solid. Then I post a video and nothing happens. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, while you got that momentum going, got to keep it going for sure.
Yeah.
And the unmarried father, was that the name of the page? Because I think I interviewed that guy.
Was his name Ryan?
Yep, white guy,
TFU
right?
from yes, from he's from Tennessee, I think. Tennessee, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I interviewed
Yeah.
him. He was real dope, man. Yeah, he got a story, man. I think he had to go like 36 years or something in the court or something, man. Like, whoo,
He
yeah.
his baby mother is something else because it's not only his baby mother, it's also her mother. So that's something else people don't consider when they go to court. You're not only fighting that ex-partner, sometimes you're fighting their family member or their new husband or wife because they're supporting them and then they're also funding them sometimes. And so, like I just went through a modification that cost me a good amount of money, man. But I think it was worth it because I'm paying the right amount of support. But a
Nice.
lot of times they dragging the whole court process out, dragging the bill up, and you're wondering like who's footing the bill because especially if they don't make as much money as you, you're like who's helping them because like, but that's kind of his situation, man. He's fighting her and her mother, man, and the mother's
Mhm.
rich. Worst situation you want to be in is going against somebody with money. Don't get me wrong. You don't always get your way because of money, but it definitely helps when it comes to the family
Absolutely.
court.
Yeah, you
Unless
show up.
unless you're doing it pro se, and pro se you can kind of get screwed over if you don't study enough. Because I just
Mhm.
did a video on a guy that lost custody, and it sounds like he was doing he was doing it pro se. He was saying he was reading the law library and going through and trying to learn everything, and the judge really like screwed him out of his situation. So
Yeah,
he has less
and
custody.
that's unfortunate though, because there's a lot of people that really would go in that library, study, and put some stuff together and come to court, and then not get respected because you didn't go to school for it. Shout
Hmm.
out to Nicole Daniels. She actually was able to help me. She is what's called a custody coach, not a lawyer.
Right.
So I was in a position to get a lawyer, and I ended up running into her, and she was able to say, "Hey, I'm gonna show you how to subpoena this place to, you know what I'm saying, to get the visitation laws because they wouldn't just give it to us." She was like, that, and then I'm gonna show you because I had moved from one county to another one. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, she was basically able to help me have the confidence to walk into the courtroom, to put a statement together so I can move my case from one county to another because I was driving 100 miles for my kids to see their mom for 1 hour and their mom wasn't showing up 90% of the time. You know what I'm saying? So now that it's out here, and even with it coming out here, this just happened in April. And it still hasn't been fully transferred over because the court system's still dragging. So in the meantime or between time, I still gotta make it out there, you know what I'm saying, and keep getting disappointed. But it's
Hmm.
gonna work out, man.
And
From what you
document everything.
appreciate. Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I'm actually looking into getting the transcripts of my past court dates, man. Like I ain't gonna play with these people, man. Like I
Facts.
need everything that was said on record, all that, man. But man, that's powerful, brother. So right now, you guys are 50-50 custody, co-parenting, and making it happen.
Yes.
Talk to
Yes.
me,
And it's
man.
I had to
It just
drag her into court, man. She was trying all kinds of mind games. The only I'm gonna tell you the moment I decided I was gonna be serious about 50-50, because I don't know if I'm the only guy who, like, I helped out. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't one of them dads that came home and played the PlayStation 5 all day. I actually changed diapers, give my daughter a bath, cook dinners. Like, I was involved. But once we split, I had to sit down and say to myself, I didn't like the way I left, because I just had to leave and it was nasty. And so she was upset with me. And so, I pretty much had to beg for time, basically. And
mm,
she basically told me, hey, you're gonna get 12 hours every week in terms of like quality time. Like, I got to pick her up and take her
wow.
to school, but 12 hours with me and my family. So I'll take her back to my mom's house at the time, and then I'd have to rush back over and run to the door at 8 p.m. I get there 8:10. She give me attitude. It was tough, man. She tried all kinds of mind games. You don't want to pay child support. You don't want that on your record. I talked to somebody in HR. They said, "Oh, everybody in here is paying child support because all of them are executives, right? But they're married, divorced, automatic child support." So she looked at me like, "Don't worry about that." I had a conversation with another brother here in Florida, and he told me that he didn't do anything when his baby mother had their daughter and they broke up. They were in South Florida. She moved to Tampa. She took the daughter and filed on him while she was in Tampa. So then he gets stuck, not getting the amount of custody he wants, because the distance is too far between Tampa and South Florida. And
Mm,
so he's paying support, not seeing his daughter. She grows to be like 12, 13 years old. And, she calls him, and, he was still involved. And she tells him, hey, mommy wants me to call her new boyfriend daddy. So he's pissed. And, he ends up taking her back to court, and the daughter expressed that she wanted to be with him. And so that situation ended up with him having a 13-year-old daughter, right? So not having quality time with her from 2 to like 13. And I said to myself, damn, is that the life I want for me?
mm,
Because my baby mother was moving to Tampa. Like, she was making plans. She had a sister up there. And so what she was doing was she was taking trips, and she never go anywhere. So I'm like, well, you taking trips to Tampa? My daughter's gone. I can't you know what I'm saying? I can't have her
mhm,
that weekend because she's in Tampa. So she was plotting on me. So I had to come up with a plan really quick, and figure out, okay, is this what I really want? I ran it by my mom and dad. My dad is a workaholic, man. Dude has 2, 3 jobs. He said, is this what you really want? Maybe you should just work and provide for your child and give the mom money. And I said, nah, I can't do that. I gotta still be involved, man. When you with somebody, you see things that you don't like.
mm,
She's a woman, obviously my daughter's going to be a woman, so she's with her 100% of the time. There's going to be traits that she's 100% going to pick up from her mom. So, having her
sure.
around the women in my family, around me, anybody that I may marry, because I'd have to make a really good pick, because I got to have good examples for her. So the 50% of the time, I use my time to have her around my good family members. You know what I'm saying? The women who are successful, the women who treat people the right way, the people with manners. Just try to have her see that, hey, you got a side of the family that also loves you over here, and they're gonna set good examples for you. So dragged her to court. She fought me on it, almost all the way till the end. But because it was COVID, they told us we're going to come back 6 months later. I was already in a temporary 50
Oh,
50
wow.
after. Yeah. So initially, like I said, I was getting the 12 hours of quality time per week. I changed lawyers because my first lawyer was trash. So I get a second lawyer. He said, yo, your first lawyer didn't do anything but take money from you. She took like 5, 6 grand from me. He's like, you should have been in front of a
Mm,
judge already. The lawyer I got was experienced, 20 years into family law. The mistake I made with the first lawyer was she was inexperienced. So he went,
mm,
got me in front of the magistrate, got the temporary 50-50. She fought it, man. She all kinds of lies. She was saying my daughter was throwing up gang signs and cursing. I'm like, where'd she
oh,
get that
wow.
from? Because it ain't over here. She tried everything, man. Nothing was going right in the 50-50, according to her. We tried mediation before going to the big judge. Automatic wanted to go into a different room. So we waste like 6 grand preparing for to get in front of the judge, only for the judge to say, hey man, it's COVID. I'm gonna push this back 6 months. And then she just gave up. So then we're in a 50-50. The 50-50, what they don't tell guys, right? A lot of people say, I'm gonna get 50-50 so I don't have to pay child support. I'm like, don't do it for that. It is too involved for you to be doing it because you don't want to pay child support. If you're getting 50-50, the right way to do it, especially for somebody who can afford to do it the right way, you have to get your child their own space. So you can't be doing no
Oh,
1-1. You
mandatory.
got to do 2-2. That cost me an extra amount of money versus getting a 1-1, right? So, and then
Mhm.
also she come over here, she eating. She's always extorted me for Roblox money. I say no. She give me a little cute face.
Get
So I'm
to
buying,
it.
buying her stuff. This stuff, I have food. I got to feed her. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, sir.
yeah, her mom loves it now though, and she said she don't know why we spent over 16 grand to separate. Like she spent 16, I spent 16, and she said we should use that money to like put it towards our daughter. I'm like, yeah, you think, but I wasn't really the problem. She was the one that was trying to fight it. Like I be asking these moms on TikTok, like, why y'all fighting 50-50? And they'll say stuff like, well, he wasn't doing 50% of the work when we was in the relationship together. And I was like, yo, that relationship is dead. You're
Yeah,
in a new
nothing to do.
situation.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah,
adjust. And
yeah. It's
then
tough.
if they
Yes,
get full custody, they complain. They say nobody helping me. Um,
absolutely.
one of my best friends, his situation was the mom basically she forced his hand. She basically looked at him like, okay, well, if you want to go to court, it's going to be a fight. He said, cool. He put his hands up. He walked away. He's paying his little 850 a month, and it was driving her insane because he basically got his son on the weekends, but it just wasn't enough for her. So getting the 850 a month wasn't enough. She had to do everything, and that's the way she wanted it. She saw
Mhm.
he was happy, and she just ended up being miserable. So this custody thing is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's, do you think it's like a solid right or wrong way to go about it? Or just
For
like, cause me personally, I want to do the 50-50. I actually offered this to my kid's mother. I tried to give her 50-50 and take off child support so we can do it the right way. And once it started to happen, it went real bad, like real sad. So I was like, okay, no, we're going to stay in court so I can have a paper trail. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Because when you're dealing with a habitual liar or a person who believes their own lies, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You have to have some type of documentation, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So 50-50. With your partner, that works for him, you know what I'm saying? Is that something you recommended or are you still full blown 50-50 all around if it's possible?
Ah, what do you mean, like outside of custody, or what do you mean?
Yeah, just like period, like the right or wrong. I'm basically trying to see because a lot of people will try to say, "Hey, one way or no way" type deal. You know what I mean? And I love the example that you just gave with your homeboy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because like every situation is different. You know what I mean? So I kind of know the answer. I was just, you know what I mean, just trying to
Yeah, yeah.
get to
Oh,
it. But
look, if you got a party that's willing to comply with you, and I tell the moms that all the time because I used to, when I was in my custody battle, I used to have all these single moms come up to me at work and they'd be like, "Man, what you're doing is such a good thing, man. I wish I could have my baby daddy do that." And I'm just like, "Yeah, he probably ain't
mhm,
interested in doing it." The worst part about the custody situation is for some people they're offered 50-50, but they don't want to do it. Then when you
mhm,
deny it, they get mad and then they say they want to do it. It's like whatever you give them, they want the opposite. So, if you got somebody that's willing to work with you, fathers, mothers, and you willing to at least give it a shot, at least, try the 50-50. I know they're doing week on, week off in some counties. For me, it's what they call a 2-2-3. So I always have Monday,
mhm.
Tuesday. Mom always has Wednesday, Thursdays, and then we alternate the weekends.
That's what's up.
Yeah. It,
That's
it
dope.
gives her a break. It gives her a break because there are times where I could tell my daughter's getting tired of me. And I know for a fact there are times when she's definitely getting tired of her mom. I call her on FaceTime and she's giving her mom a little attitude, and I'm like, hey, listen to your mom. Like I try to encourage her to work with her mom because I don't want her mom to be stressed out when she got her. Yeah, she got to keep her straight, safe. I don't need her feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times kids tend to frustrate you. So I can only imagine if she had her 100% of the time, the amount of like I don't even want to say abuse because she disciplines differently than me. You know what I'm saying? Like with her, because she's a woman. Hitting is a little bit different. You hit as a man, especially a little girl, things can end badly.
For
So,
sure.
100% of the time, the way these little girls are and the way they do things that, they know they shouldn't do because they're kids, but I don't know, man. The girls are different, man. I talk to everybody that got sons and daughters, and they say the girls are different, man. So I can only imagine if she had her 100% of the time. So that's why I feel like splitting it is fine. But like I said, with my one of my best friends, I understand his situation because the mom was just She was crazy. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I went and dropped him
Mhm.
off to see the son one time, and she was in her car and she was playing chicken with me. Like she literally sped towards my car. I look at him. I was like, "Yo, is she serious?" And he's like, "Yo, she's crazy." This girl, like last minute, swerved out the way. I'm like, "Yeah." So his baby mother's a little bit, you know. So that's why I can
Oh,
see why
okay.
he walked away. But I told him, "You gonna end up having to take your son when he get older because she got two other sons." And yeah, they terrible influence for his son. I'm looking at him like, bro, you're gonna have to take your son at some point. Plus, you're a man.
Yeah, man.
You can teach your son how to be a man, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
was I was just scrolling down your page, bro. You had shared the video, and it was somebody talking about when a child get a certain age, like before they get 10 years old, it was a woman saying it to the mothers like, let that man go stay with his son. And that's real as hell. Like even right now, my oldest is 16 and she a girl. I wish I was able to get her to her mom when she was like 11 or 12 or something. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because now she done went through the menstrual cycle and stuff with a nigga that don't know shit about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm video chatting my sisters and shit, putting her in the bathroom with her, like giving her the phone, like y'all go take care of that. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like I can't give you no solid advice in no shape, form, or fashion and stuff like that. So um I wholeheartedly agree that, and I wish my mom would have did that with my dad. You know what I'm saying? Sent me, you know what I'm saying, gave me that nurturing, that love. You know what I'm saying? Them first
Hmm.
years or whatever. When it was time to become a man, send me to my pops for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Yeah, nah, you see, and that's where like when I, as much as I'm all for equal parenting, I always look at it too like this, right? If you're going to do that, right? Let's say the 50-50 is working, keep doing that. But if you're going to do that, right? I always look at them like, okay, is the kid getting in trouble? Like I had a cousin that was getting in trouble, and his mom was raising him, and as soon as he got taller than everybody, he just started giving trouble. um, I guess his dad couldn't take him. His dad came, spoke to him. He didn't even really know his dad like that, and he just looked down on his dad and was just like, he like, "What are you gonna do?" You know. But
Mm.
you know, in a
Yeah.
situation where you're having difficulty with that child, and I can see where the 50-50 probably wouldn't work. Like like I said, like a bad son, right? Like say you're a single mom, you have a bad son,
Mhm.
you send him to the dad, or if you're 50-50 and he's given trouble on your time, but dad knows how to handle him, or vice versa, mom knows how to handle her, then it's like I can kind of see where the 50-50 might not work for some people, but for the most part, those are the exceptions, right? Where it makes
Mhm.
sense like that. Like you said, your daughter's going through stuff and her mom is supposed to be the one to teach her that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But
Absolutely.
yeah, that post though, every time a woman does that, and mind you, some of them are doing it because they can't control the son. The other women get upset at them for doing that. They say, "How dare you give up on your kid and send your kid to their daddy?" Like they
Crazy.
treat dads like we're strangers. Like, like we didn't lay down with them and make the child. They
Yeah.
said, "You sent them to their daddy." That happened
Mhm.
to my auntie. My auntie sent my cousin to his dad. His dad's a successful lawyer. Is he a lawyer? I think he works for like a newspaper. Well, he's successful. He's strict as hell. She ended up sending him there because he was getting in trouble in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is a rough place to grow up, man. When I was spending time there, I found out it was pretty rough. So she sent him to a different environment to go live with his dad. He ends up being a lawyer. His dad was tough on him, but I think it was for the best because it really molded him into a very successful, like, lawyer. Um, when it comes to discipline due to his dad, he has discipline there, and the relationship between him and his dad is still good. It's just, it's a little bit strained because when us dads tend to be really strict. But I will say for his career and just for his life, it was a great move for him to, move in with his dad because his dad was able to kind of guide him through, manhood. And it's
Nice,
working out pretty
nice,
well for him. He's actually about to get married, so
nice,
yeah.
nice.
So
Yeah,
he's
that,
doing
that's
well for himself.
that's amazing, man. Yeah, that's one of the statistics, man. They say that single mom raised a lot of men that go to prison and stuff, and vice versa. It wouldn't be that bad if the fathers was home or they were just living with the father in general. And I actually do know I got some close partners. They're actually my kids' family. They was raised by their fathers, and they're pretty well rounded. They're pretty well
Yeah.
rounded, man. I don't think neither one of them has ever even been arrested. No, I think the little brother. Nothing serious though. Like, you know what I'm saying? They
Right.
they actually, you know what I'm saying, married, you know what I mean, got their head on their shoulders and stuff versus, you know what I'm saying, a lot of us, being raised by single moms and stuff and been in and out, you know what I mean, got kids out of wedlock and all the other good stuff. Um and that's just perspective, like you were saying with marriage earlier. Is me
Hmm.
personally, it's perspective. It
Yeah.
depends on how, you know what I'm saying, how you look at it. But
Yeah.
man, before we get up out of here, man, we shot a little 30. So drop some encouraging words for the fathers, dog.
Okay, so for my fathers out there, especially if you're still in your relationship, like I said, do your best to make sure that, you continue to have a great relationship with your wife or girlfriend, spend time with her. I know it seems like when you have kids, the kids tend to get in the way, but realistically, it's just that we just don't make time for each other. And a lot of people always say, for the people who are married, that's why if you ever see the videos I reshare where they say that you should put your partner first and then the children, a lot of people really don't feel that way. They put the kids first, but then the kids grow up and then they get older, and then now you're stuck with your partner and you guys hate each other, and that's because you guys never took
Mm,
any time
mm,
for each other.
mm.
Like, I'm not saying to neglect your children, but if you're in a relationship, definitely take care of each other. If you're in a situation where I'm at where I'm no longer with mom, just know that if you ever get into a dark time, just think about your kids and know that you got to do the right thing for your kids in terms of being there for them, whether that's taking care of them financially or just showing up physically, man, because it could be tough when you're not with the mom. They have events, and sometimes some of these dads, they don't even know that the events are going on because mom didn't share it with them. Some of the dads out there, man, they just inconsistent. I try to tell them to, try to be consistent, man. If you could take time off work to do certain things for your kids, like certain special events, definitely do that. um but yeah, man, I can't even tell people to avoid divorce because at the end of the day, sometimes it's not up to you. But yeah, for the dads out there, man, continue to be there for your kids, man. Show up at all the events. When they see us come to parent teacher conferences, man, they're excited because they see so much moms carrying the weight and doing everything. Something happens with the kid, mom shows up there. Try to pick up your kids from school, man. Go to parent teacher conferences, get them involved in sports and show up, man. I remember growing up and, my dad was in New York and I was in Florida. Just looking up in the stands and you seeing everybody else's parents there, you sit down and you say, your mom got to work. Your dad is either he got to work too or he in another state. Like in my situation, man, you start saying to yourself like, damn, I really wish I had somebody to look up to. So I don't miss any events for my daughter, man. I
That's
don't
what's up.
miss anything. Not a thing. There's nothing that she has done where I said I couldn't make it, because I know how that feels. I know how that feels when you look in the stands and your favorite person is not there. So I was like,
That's
that's another thing too that we don't realize. You see how we can identify LeBron James being a good dad, and so
mm,
many other like celebrities who never had their dads in their life, and then they turn out to be great dads. You got to look at it this way: if you didn't have a dad in your life, or if your dad wasn't the dad you wanted him to be, or if your dad just couldn't be there for you, then you try to fix it with your kids. So, those are the things that I look forward to doing, man. It's just trying to make sure I'm there for my daughter, man, and always available. There was a video I seen the other day that came across my feed, which I probably should have shared. The guy was saying, man, when you first see your kids for the 10 minutes, the first 10-15 minutes, like when you take them, like on Friday, I got to pick up my daughter from summer camp. He's like, yo, don't do anything else. Just literally, sit down and just listen to him. Don't be on your phone. Just sit down, listen to him. Don't be listening to the radio. Turn the radio off. Talk to your kids. See how their day was. And just listen to them. Because a lot of times we just become like robots. We pick up our kids and then we turn on the radio. We don't listen to them. We don't really care about the stuff that they want to talk about. Because it's not like you don't care about your kids. It's a selfish thing. Naturally, right? So we have to be more like cognizant of that. Like, hey, let's make sure I'm actually available for my kid and listen to them and be interested in the things that they talk to you about, even though a lot of them be silly. A lot of times they be spinning around and say, look what I can do. It means the world to them though, man. I remember, my dad, riding a bicycle and showing them I could ride the bicycle with no hands. My dad's looking and laughing and stuff. That kind of stuff, man, it really means a lot to your kids, man. As silly as it may seem to us adults, it goes a long way, man. Just being there for them, man, and just watching them do the things that we think are silly because we're grown, and it's really important for them.
That's a fact, man. Yeah, no, kids look for our validation for sure, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. They definitely. My youngest, man, she will come about 30 times in my room, dog. Come show me something that I'll be like, okay, baby, you stop what I was doing for that. Okay, cool. All right. Like today, she had on a regular loose leaf piece of paper, dog. She just got a purple crayon and colored the entire paper. No pictures, no nothing. Wrapped it around a baby doll and brought it to me. I was like, actually dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it'd be times
Hey,
like that. I'd be like, oh no, that's creative, baby. I see that. You know what I'm saying?
ha-
But then she'd
have
come in there with the same dial, like, it can do a flip. Okay. All right, baby. Now you know what I'm saying? Like, what we doing?
facts.
But yeah, man, that validation takes them a long way for sure. You can see the twinkle, the spark inside them. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? When you say something to them, and they walk away and they're feeling good, and then you're able to like listen to their tone while they're in their room, what they doing. You know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, I just did that for them. You know what I'm saying? What I will say on the flip side of that is what I tell my kids is don't do anything to make me proud, make yourself proud, and I'm gonna be proud of you making yourself proud. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want
Right.
you picking a career. I don't want you doing anything in life just because you want me to be like, good job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Hmm.
want you to want to do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
but yeah, man, this has been another amazing episode of Full-Time Father Podcast, man. 50-50 Dad. Brother, I appreciate your wisdom, your knowledge. You definitely dropped some gems on us. I'm gonna go ahead and do my little spiel before I get up out of here. First and foremost, shout out to the fathers, because that's why we're here. My same slogan, I don't care if you're active or you're not active, I'm here to inspire. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm in the
Hmm.
crib with my kids 24/7, dog. Just us, you know what I mean? And sometimes I'm not the best father, you know what I mean? Like I
Hmm.
be needing mental breaks. I be needing to check out sometimes. So you know what I'm saying? I can't judge you on your journey. You know what I'm saying? So like whether you know what I'm saying, you've been gone for a few years, or you know what I'm saying, or you just scared to jump back in, whatever it may be, dog. I'm here to inspire, man. This is a judge free zone. This is a safe spot here. Full Time Father Podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe to 50-50 Dad, man. Please, hey, yeah, brother. Please let them know how they can reach you, how they can reach you, brother.
All right, so 50/50 Dad on TikTok, 50/50 Dad on YouTube. I'm also on Facebook. Almost at half of 50,000 followers on Facebook. I'm probably going to be posting longer content on Facebook and YouTube from now on, just to kind of share some of the fathers' stories on TikTok. We've been fortunate enough to be blessed with a lot of men coming out of the courthouse and explaining their situation to us via TikTok. So I'll
That's
be
what's
I'll
up.
be reacting to that and just resharing it on my Instagram. But as you know, the Instagram is probably it's probably one of the most active, but I'm usually a lot more active on TikTok because it's more accessible just to the average father. There's so many fathers on there, and so but yeah, all those platforms 50/50 Dad. I try to keep the name consistent.
All right, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. Y'all go ahead and tune in with Big Dog for sure. Hopefully we can connect soon on something. You know what I mean? If I can come on your platform or something, whatever I
Hmm.
can do, any shape, form, or fashion, brother. Let me know. Stay on, bro, because I'm gonna do my little ending. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be in the back office, but um, Full Time Father Podcast. There's no love like all love. I love all of y'all, man. We out.
Yep. Thanks for having me.